Okay. Is that better? It should be better. That better be better. All right, it should be on now. I think it's because my microphone wasn't plugged in all the way. Okie dokie. Is it? Ah, okay. Good. Nice. All right, so take 2. Seated. However you want. Fingers interlaced. Rolling. That's what we're doing. We're rolling things around. And then just, while you're rolling things around, and you're going to take your, all of your fingers and then draw them in towards your wrists. Just kind of in the background. Other hand, put your breath on the background a little bit. So you're paying attention to it. You're sitting up straight. You can breathe all the way into your body, but your main focus is what you're doing to your hands and your fingers. So take your first 2 fingers, palm up, and then start stretching them back. And then same thing with the other next 2 fingers, ring and pinky. And then take your thumb and stretch it back. You can also take your thumb and go in like so towards the inner forearm. And then hand 2 will be first 2 fingers, stretch back. And then pinky, ring. And then thumb. And then switcheroo on the thumb. Thumb comes in. Good. Nice. And then taking your hands forward, fingers facing in. Your palms don't have to go flat, but they might. And you're going to get a nice forearm stretch here. So just going to go back and forth. And your fingers are facing you, but now your fingers are going to face away from you. And then you'll sway left to right. And then fingers in. Same thing, swaying left to right. And then I'm going to do this. And then we're going to take our weight off of the palms. We're going to put them on the backs of the hands. So fingers facing in, backs of hands are on the ground. And just doing your best. Don't overdo it, because this can be a crazy, painful position for some people. And then fingers away from each other. And then fingers in, facing you. And then why not fingers facing out? And then you have to lean forward. Maybe you take your hands close to your body and then you lean forward. Good. So now you're ready to type and use your mouse all day. Feel free to sprinkle these exercises in throughout the day. Okay. Again, you're seated any way you want, no particular position. Arms are going cactus. If you were a goalpost, you might have to dodge a football with your head. And then pulling your arms back without taking your ribs forward. So you're working with just your shoulder mobility, not your spine. So your ribs stay in. You don't have to suck them in. You're just not letting them go forward. And you want to feel the muscles between your shoulder blades and the backs of your arms start to ignite. Ideally, you don't feel your neck muscles, but so just try to calm the neck muscles as much as you can if they're firing out. And then take nice, strong breaths all the way into the belly. And then let them out. Let that breath out and up slowly. And then every time you exhale now, the elbows are going to drop like an inch. Good. Maybe on your next couple of breaths, the elbows make it to your ribs. And then your fingers can point out. So your forearms are going to go as far back as they can. They may not be able to go in line with your body, but you're going to go as far back as you can. Okay, palms facing forward, your shoulders are staying down. And again, same thing, your neck is remaining calm, and so is your mouth, your jaw, your face, but the muscles underneath your arms might be firing up here. Good. And then taking your palms in, and your fingers are apart, meaning that you're not in like Anjali Mudra. Your fingers are apart from each other, but each finger on each hand, right, are pressing against each other, as is your thumbs. And then pressing your hands together, let your elbows come out. And then turn your fingers down. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed. Fingers forward. Fingers up. Fingers towards you. Your elbows will have to lift, but keep your shoulders down. Good. And then slowly peel your hands away from each other as your hands come away from your body. And then your fingertips will be the last thing to touch. And then your palms will face behind you. I'm just going to reach back. Notice if one arm reaches back more easily than the other. And then if you want, you can interlace your fingers. Keep your thumbs attached to your back and just pull your elbows back. Same thing with your ribs. Like if your ribs want to pop out for a second, that's fine, but then see if you can keep your spine somewhat neutral. So you're using only the shoulders here and the shoulder blades to do what you're doing. If you can fold forward, go ahead and fold forward. Just remember, you're keeping your chest open. You're not hunching over. So if you start to hunch, that's where you stop. And then as you breathe in, you want like your sternum, you know, collarbones, that area to reach forward. And then we'll come up. And then release your arms, shake them out. So we're going to find a Uttanasana Konasana. Legs are wide, but not as wide as they can go. Give yourself some space. And then you're going to do what we did earlier. Take your palms down, fingers in, hands a bit wide. Let your elbows bend. Your palms do not have to be flat. In fact, I'd be very surprised if they were. I think you would have like no wrist bones in your wrist if you were doing that with your elbows bent. But your elbows are going to bend in towards you. And then they're going to bend in towards each other a little bit too. And then they'll bend out away from each other, but you've got to keep at least part of your palm on the floor just a little bit. Good. Take your hands, palms down, underneath your thighs. Fingers are pointing kind of in, more at an angle towards the middle of your legs. And then just press your hands down with your legs. So your legs are probably going to go straight. And then try to sit up as tall as you can, like you're trying to pry your hands out from under your legs. But it's just not going to happen. And if your arms are super long, you might have to finagle where your hands are exactly. But sit up really tall, really press your hands down with your thighs and try to get your arms to stretch a little here. There we go. All right. So we're going to turn over to the left, and your elbow is going to rest on either a part of you or an object of your choosing. And you don't have to worry about your legs being super stick straight anymore. So your right elbow is resting somewhere, and you can rest your head in your hand. So when you lean to the right, your left sits bone and leg tends to get lighter, and that's okay. You can let that happen, and then you can kind of press it down a little bit. And then you can lean more to the right, and then you can press the left leg and sits bone down. And then if you want to take your elbow on the inside of your leg, if it can touch the floor or something to help bridge the gap between the floor and your elbow. And then take your left arm in a cactus shape. And then turn your fingers to point forward. And then reach your elbow back as if you could touch your elbow to your spine. Let your head relax. And then come to center. And then if you were using something to put your elbow on, take it to the left. Now we're going to lean over to the left. Ooh. And then you can turn your chest to the right. Try to keep, when your head's resting in your hand, try to keep your head from like tucking in. Try to keep some sort of length in your neck. And then right leg gets a little heavy, right sits bone, right leg, and then take some pressure off. So do that as you breathe. Focus a little bit more on your breathing now if you can. And then maybe you take your elbow on the inside of your leg somewhere. And then take your right arm as a cactus. Notice if the muscles on the right side of your body, or your back, your hips are kind of tightening up a little bit here. Do they have to? Can you release where your leg and your hip connect? And then have your right fingers face forward and then try to pull your elbow back towards your spine. All right, coming back. Oh, geez. Ah. All right. We'll take our legs forward. Feet on the floor, knees together. And then keeping your knees together as much as you can, try to slowly inch your feet away from each other. See how far they'll go. Make sure that you're comfortable in your hips, knees, and your ankles. And you want to rotate this from your thighs. So you want your thighs to rotate in to get this. You don't want this to be coming from your knees. So make sure that your whole leg bone, the one that's connected to your hip bone, you want that to rotate in the hip socket. And you might look very different from me or similar because everybody has different types of rotation in their hip socket. So it's okay, it's cool. Alrighty, very good. All right, one more seated position here. I'm gonna do a twist. So left leg straight, right leg is bent, and then you can take the right foot and cross it to the outer left leg. Hug your right leg with your left arm and twist to the right, and use your right hand or fingertips to help leverage you a little bit, but make sure that, feel the twisting happening from your muscles in your belly, low belly and mid belly. And then let the hand help you more open up the right shoulder. So you're opening up the right shoulder with your hand. You're not forcing the twist in your belly. Your belly is doing that. Those muscles are twisting you down there. All right, let's come back here. Stretch out that leg. Left foot over to the other side. Hug the left leg with the right arm, and ooh, this side feels way different. And then use your left hand. So again, twisting with your belly, low and mid belly, and then use the hand to assist the shoulder and chest. Alrighty. Whew, that was good. Okay, let's do tabletop position. Tabletop. If you have a block, please be prepared to use it. All right, hands a bit wide, knees maybe a bit wide. Do some cat-cows. Make them feel good instead of look good, whatever that means. So as you inhale and exhale, let the elbows bend in. Maybe your elbows tap the floor. Move your head around. You know, color outside the lines here. You're trying to make your body feel good. And only you know what that entails. And then come to where you're doing like a cow pose in your low back. So you've got an arch in your low spine, but you're trying to keep your upper spine relatively neutral. And then tuck your head in so you're looking back at your toes. Hello, toes. And then pay attention to your lower spine and like what position it's in. Just pay attention. And then you're going to tilt your head all the way up and notice if your spine gets archier when you try to tilt your head up. And try to control that. And then relax your back. Maybe go into a cat pose for a second. And then you're going to do kind of a cat pose with your low spine. So it's more of hollowing from the pit of your pelvis up to the floating ribs. So think about that. So it's all happening in the front of your body. And then look back. You look back at your tailbone. Notice if your tailbone tucked under a little bit when you looked back. You're trying to create cat pose from your muscles, not from your back. And then now you're going to look all the way up and notice if you're having a hard time keeping that hollowing of your belly. Okay. The more you want to arch your neck and create extension in your neck, the more your low back wants to arch. And then just let your body do what it wants to do. So that's just kind of there to teach you how your neck and head position informs your low back, okay? And it does that all day, every day, whether you want it to or not, unless you are specifically thinking about it. Okie dokie. We're going to take our right knee to the center of the mat, and you're going to cross your left leg to the other side. And then you're going to fishtail your legs. Fishtail, so your shins go out. Shins go out. You're not going to go to cow face, but you can press your hips back towards like almost a cow face child's pose. So just be careful of your knees and ankles. You're just going to go back and forth a couple of times. And then put your right knee back as your anchor, and then let your left leg, it's going to cross over to the right, but it's going to be straight, okay? It's going to cross over as much as you can. Don't worry if it's not going very far. Push through your left hand real strong. Really strong. Push through that left hand. You're going to open to your right. Your right arm can do whatever. I'm just reaching back. But keep pushing through your left hand. Like don't collapse into your left shoulder when you're turning to the right. And then take your right hand down in the center of your mat. And then try to open up to the left. This is going to be harder. Just open up the best you can to the left. Maybe take a half bind with your left arm. Try to keep your low belly from dipping. Try to make this twist in the shoulder and then come down. Take a break for a second. Whatever that means, wherever your body has to go to take a break. All right, now we'll do side two. So your left knee comes to the center of the mat, the right knee goes behind and out, fishtail. And then we'll just take the hips back a little bit, forward and back. Forward and back. All right, take your left knee in the center again. It's gonna stay solid, and your right leg's gonna stretch out and go up to the other side. As far as it can go, with very little pain. No pain, ideally. No pain. All right, and then you're gonna twist a little bit to your left. Your left arm can do whatever it wants, but push through your right arm. Like, don't collapse in your shoulder. Stay chill, stay calm. And then take your right hand in the center of the mat now. And your right, this one's really hard. And then you're gonna twist a little bit to the right. You can take a half bind with your right arm if you want. You're probably not gonna twist very far. Keep breathing though. And then come down. And then see what it's like to kneel. You can kneel any way you want. Ugh. You can do an upright kneel if you can't. Put your weight down on your knees or your ankles. All right. And then coming up to an actual upright kneel. Kneeling legitimately now. And then take the right foot forward. Find some support. And then take a crescent lunge. Just try not to drop all your weight into the front of your left hip. Like, press the left foot into the floor at least a little bit. You don't have to do it a lot, so your knee lifts. You could lift the knee if you want. And then we'll come back to a half Hanuman. You're going to rotate your bent right leg so your toes point out to the side, and you're going to twist to the right. Ooh, lots of popping and cracking there. And we're going to go back and forth here. So we're going to go forward into crescent lunge. And I'm going to take a little twist of my chest to the left, just a little bit. And then back into half Hanuman with your bent right leg twisting out to the side. And see how the toes and the knees are pointing out, and I'm twisting. Let's do this. Do this a few times at your own pace. And you're welcome to, let's say, exhale as you crescent lunge. Inhale as you do that twisty half Hanuman. And the next time you crescent lunge, just stay still, don't twist. Pause and breathe. Curl your back toe under. Slowly lift up your back knee. Then you're going to spin your back heel down. And your toes are going to turn out quite a bit in the back. And if you can bend one leg and then the other, just a little do-si-do here. Get your ankles ready. And then also this helps you figure out if your feet are in a good position to stand up. And then you're going to go into that in-between place where both legs are bent, and then you'll slowly rise up and find a warrior two, and then you can start stretching out your back leg when you're upright. And feel free to do some motions with your arms. Get your wrists and fingers to do some stuff. If you do bend more forward in the front leg, put your weight in the heel. And then from here, we're going to take the arms forward in an eagle pose. So you're going to wrap your arms. Your right arm is on top, okay? Right arm is on top, where you're going to hug yourself with the right arm on top. And then you're going to pull the shoulders to the back of your mat, so to the left, to the back foot. Pull them over, get a stretch in the right arm and shoulders, maybe even the back. Keep breathing. Excellent. Open up your arms again. And you're going to spin your back heel up so you can lunge forward. If you can, take your back knee to a hover over the floor. Let your arms dangle for a second, shake them out a bit, give them a break. Then we're going to come down to the floor. You may need to take hand support for this. And then step your right foot back to your original starting position. And pause here. And if you need to come out of a kneeling shape to pause, do so. We'll be stepping forward with the left foot in about 30 seconds. So give yourself a little bit of time here. Okay, back up to the kneeling shape when you're ready. Left foot forward. Find some support under your hands. Find your crescent lunge, but a crescent lunge where your back leg has some engagement. So maybe the top of your foot presses into the mat with 5 to 10% of your effort. And when you have found a good crescent lunge position for you, come back into your half Hanuman, and your front leg is going to remain bent. You're going to rotate your knees and toes out to the side. Whew. And then let's take a little twist open to that left side. Good. So we kind of know the drill here. We're going to do this little sequence, but try to explore it like you've never done this before. So when you go to crescent lunge next time, open up a little bit to the right, but you're not taking your hands off the floor. You're just opening up a little bit. And then exhale. And then inhale, come back to that half Hanuman with the twisted front leg and twist. Remember, the front leg bends at least a little bit so you can rotate all the way up to the butt muscles. And then when you inhale next, you can come to your crescent lunge. So let's do this in your own time and in your own style. Next time you twist open in your half Hanuman, we're going to find the crescent and just regular old crescent. Grow your back toes under, lift the back knee, spin your heel so your toes come out. So you're preparing for an eventual warrior two, so make sure you have enough rotation in that back leg. And then start your do-si-do. Little bend, little straight, back and forth. And then find both leg bent. Slowly rise. You're taking it easy in the neck and shoulders here. And then you can start to settle your feet and your back leg into a more familiar warrior two position. And I'm just going to do some funky things because my shoulders are acting up. It could be the 30 chin-ups I did yesterday. I don't know. And then taking your arms forward, you can, left arm is on top. So a hug. I think we should all hug each other anyways. And then eagle arms. And then shoulders over to your right, to the back foot. Whew. Wow. I needed that. Breathing. Breathing. Okay, unravel. Spin the back heel. A little lunge with a hovering knee. Arms are shaken. And then you might need support to take your back knee down, step it back. And then my suggestion would be, how about a little, maybe a version of saddle pose here. Knees can come apart, by the way. They don't have to be together. You could have your hips up in a saddle camel hybrid, which is what I'm going to do. I don't suggest that your head just hangs back all willy-nilly, but if that feels good for a moment or two, that's fine. And then bring it to some level of control where you can breathe and swallow and do all that. If you can let your hips settle back into your heels, go ahead and do that. I'm being very slow with it because my ankle still is getting used to this position. And if possible, maybe you don't use blocks behind you. I'm not sure if I can do that yet, but we'll see. Okay, maybe for like 10 seconds. If only one knee can do this, just stretch out the leg that can't. It could be that both knees can't do it, and you could stretch out both legs, because we're going to go there anyways. So I'm going to extract the right foot first, and then the left. And you can keep your hips up if you want. A little back and forth here. Yeah. There we go. And then take your butt to the middle of the mat, however you get there. And then how about some core work? Yeah, fun. We're gonna have fun. Okay, so we're just gonna do a few of these because they're fairly potent in and of themselves. So you're gonna find a version of boat pose, but then you're gonna be like the walking boat. So this works well if you have long arms. If you don't have long arms, it's gonna be harder, and you could, I don't know, just struggle with it. So feet together or crisscross. I like to cross mine at the ankles. I don't know why, I just do. And then we're going to move forward. So you're going to take your hands forward wide. I highly suggest you take them a bit wide. Fingers turn out a tad. Lean and just move. You can also use your ridge top. So if you're weaker, which is okay, this is hard. You can, arms are shorter, you can use your ridge tops here so my palms aren't flat. This is part of why we stretched our wrists and fingers out earlier. Doing it with flat hands is hard, and I don't know why I'm doing that right now, but I am. And then you're going to go back to the place that you came from. So we're not doing a whole run of the mat just from the middle to the front and back. All right, take a rest. You can go in any position you want to take that rest. And then we're going to do that again, but we're going to add little spices to it. That's right, we're going to flavor it up. Okay. So now we're going to put a block or something in between the knees. All right. You can cross or not at your ankles, up to you. I'm going to do the same thing. So forward. And you can take as many or as few walks forward, but you're only going from the middle to the front and back to the middle. Okay. Then you take it down. Maybe a Baddha Konasana pose, yeah. Or Tadasana, or like a little diamond. We're going to do that again, just in case you were wondering. And this time, if you want, you can start from the back of the mat. I mean, you don't have to. I'm using my elbows for a little self-massage here. Okay, so I'm going to go to the back of the mat because I'm a glutton for punishment. but also because I have the energy to do this. If I didn't, I wouldn't do it. So don't force yourself if you don't have the energy or desire. Okay, so now we're gonna do sideways. Yeah, ha. So we're gonna do the same thing. Whatever you did with your feet is fine. I mean, you can have your feet on the floor too if you need to. Okay, so ready? To the side, to the side, to the side, to the side, to the side. Look at that. We made it. Maybe you're dragging your butt across the whole time. That's okay. Who does crazy weird stuff like this besides me? All right, turn forward and find a loose configuration of your Paschimottanasana. So loose legs, loose ankles, stretched out belly. You can hang your head, or you could choose to extend your neck and the crown of your head towards your toes, which is what I'm gonna do, just because my neck is a little stiff today. And see what it's like to not go as far as you can go. Like, see if you can hang back. Dial it down a couple of levels there. You don't have to take every stretch to the spinal tap level. All right, when you come back. Well, that just felt invigorating. All right, one more thing for the core. Promise, just one more thing. So, blocks or no blocks, we're just going to find a little bit of our Lalasana today, or earring pose. So, I'll do this from the front. How's that? So, it's what we just did, except we're holding it, which means that many people are just going to lean forward, their feet are going to be on the floor, and they're just going to lift their butt up, maybe. It's okay if you don't lift your butt up, because chances are you're still working pretty hard to almost try to lift your butt up. There's also the option of blocks, or if you had little parallel bars, which is actually what I would prefer for the wrists. But and you can be in your Sukhasana shape. And we'll just come up. And you're just breathing. So hold it as long as you can breathe and come down. That's it. No big deal. You can make the blocks higher. I wouldn't put them on the highest level. That's pretty unstable. You can make the blocks higher if that's going to help you. Remember, you do have to be able to lean forward. You can't have the blocks back at your hips. You're going to do nothing and go nowhere. You have to have your hands in front of you because you have to be able to lean forward. Otherwise, you can't lift your hips. So exhale to come up. And just see, maybe you can tuck your feet in between your legs. I don't know, maybe not. Whew. Okay. And then, this is entirely up to you, obviously. But if you wanted to turn this into like a Titibhasana, or, you could turn it into rooster pose. I can't remember the Sanskrit for that, but it's okay. You can have your hands on the blocks or not. You can squat down. Obviously, this is a lot more work, and you could work on, you can have your butt against the wall, and you're using your upper arms as a shelf for your hamstrings, your thighs. Obviously, you don't have to do any of this, but these could work at transition. The rooster pose is when you hook your feet in front of you. All silly stuff by now, but I'm just going to do one. And you can do that from the squat that I just showed you, or you can do it from seated. But you have to kind of put your legs on like little backpacks. Like little backpacks. And then just come up. I know, I'm making it sound easy, but I realize a lot of people can't do this. So just play. You're just playing. It's all about playing. It's not about achieving anything. Are you done yet? Do you want to lay down and rest? Let's do this. Let's take our arms behind our back. Let's take the left forearm so it's higher and lay down on our arms in bridge pose. So you want to try to get the backs of the upper arms to press into the floor. The backs of the upper arms. So pretend like I was standing behind you and my hands were on the very front and top of your shoulders, and I was pressing them down into the floor. Okay, we can switch if you like. You just lift up your hips. You can place it so the left forearm is on top. And if you can't lay down like this, I mean, obviously you would have adjusted yourself already, but you can take your hands more so they're at the center of your spine and not on either side of your spine. Same thing, try to get your upper arm bones pressed into the floor like someone was stepping on your shoulders and the front of your shoulders to get the back down. Whoo-wee. All right, let's extract those arms. Ooh, now mine don't want to move, but that's okay. All right. Knees into chest. We're going to find that cow face pose again, but on our back. Right leg over. This one's a lot friendlier on the joints because you don't have gravity pressing into them. And you can just stay here, or you can grab things, right? So you get shins to grab, you have feet to grab. If you're grabbing your feet, remember your feet need to kind of fight back a little bit, you know, with your hands. You can grab under the feet or over, like they're both valid. I kind of like grabbing over because then I can rotate the feet a little bit differently. But in any case, so the heels could be close to your sits bones, which they might have to be, or they could start to come out a little bit. But remember, your knees are caught in the middle here, so you don't want to, you don't want to force. You want to use just enough strength, not force. And then you can go side to side if you like. Try to keep your shoulders relaxed from lifting off the floor. All right, switch legs. But first, a little dead cockroach. And then left leg on top. Investigate before you go to your most extreme position. Just investigate first. Make sure that your muscles and joints are cooperating in the way you want them to. And don't chastise them if they're not. And then if you can grab your shins or feet, keep your legs very bent unless you know that you can safely go to about a 90-ish degree bend. A little side to side work if you like. Ooh. Ooh. Mm-hmm. And then when you're ready, release. Happy baby. Stretch one leg out to the side, back to your happy baby. Stretch one leg out to the other side. We can do that a couple times if you want. Maybe both legs stretch. Be careful behind the knees. Way. There we go. Little legs up, shall we? If you want, you can use some elevation underneath the head. Legs up. These are one of those poses when you realize you might have to shave your legs. And then with your legs like this, if you want, you can create like that internal rotation we were doing earlier with the toes and the knees point in. And you can go out like we're doing in the half Hanuman. Little in, little out. Just try to rotate from your upper thigh bone and not your lower ankle bone or your middle knee bone. If you do that enough and you're really focusing on rotating from your muscles where your hips and legs meet, you can actually get a little bit of shakiness in your legs. Boop, boop, boop. Take your right foot down and stretch it out. Put your left knee into your chest. Or out, if you like. Or both. Switch legs. Left leg stretch out. Right knee comes in and maybe a bit out. Good. Maybe both legs can stretch out and then practice that internal rotation for this one. You can do a little external, but if your legs are really straight and you're really going for a big stretch, I would recommend internal. Let your knees and your toes look in at each other. And then relax your legs. Take out the support. Good. All right. So just a little windshield wiper side to side. Earlier when I was silent, I did mention that this class is going to be done just a tad early so I can make an appointment on time. So after the windshield wipery goodness, the side to side motions, I'm going to leave you to design the rest of your class if you have time. We'll just be going into Shavasana at this point anyways. But in any case, it's always good to have your company. Whether you're watching live or a recorded version of this, it doesn't matter. And make sure that you take care of yourself and have a good weekend.